Welcome to Lesson 20. For this lesson, you'll be taking a slow drive around the Italian town course. Take 2 laps of this course without hitting the surroundings or going off the track. As before, you'll be given plenty of time, so take in the sights and enjoy the feeling of driving on paved roads. As soon as you begin, you'll notice the roads are narrow and go up and down steep hills. In the residential areas, a single car can barely fit through, so be careful not to hit the sides or you'll immediately be disqualified. Also, the steep inclines you'll encounter will affect acceleration and braking. You would do well to remember the best locations at which to begin braking. There are a number of blind corners spread about the course, and for these you must remember the landscape that comes after the exits. By this time, most drivers will have made considerable improvement in their skills, so the ideal line indicator will be turned off. If need be, you can turn it back on with the R3 button. Good luck with this lesson. Welcome to Lesson 21. The setting for this lesson is once again the New York City course. This lesson concentrates on the series of 90-degree bends in front of the Plaza Hotel. Think about how you need to drive to take these corners at the maximum speed possible. For this, a racing driver needs to consider not the line that attains maximum speed for the individual corners, but the best line for achieving the best overall speed for the entire area. The shortcut to mastery is to turn on the racing line indicator and practice until you can follow it closely. The higher the speed, the more difficult it becomes to follow the line, and once you break from the line, it takes a while to get back on track. For this reason, you need to pay careful attention to braking and acceleration. Success will be determined by how well you can stick to the single optimal line. Best of luck! Welcome to Lesson 22. It's back to the complex Italian town course for this lesson. You've learned how to handle blind corners with poor visibility in Lesson 18. This time you'll be practicing a hairpin corner with a steep incline. On the ascent, the brakes work well, but with the weight of the car on the front wheels lightened, the steering won't respond in the manner you're used to and it becomes harder to turn. You should plan on reducing your speed lower than usual at the entrance to the corner to attain the necessary line. The clipping point of this corner is well into the bend and can't be seen from the entrance. For the initial section, drive in the centre of the track. When you reach the apex, turn quickly to clip the curve. Wait until you can see the exit, then finally give it full acceleration. Until that point, you are recommended to take it slowly and carefully. Once you perfect the timing of when to accelerate, you'll be halfway there. Good luck with the lesson. Welcome to lesson 23. In this lesson, you'll be trying something new. You'll be accelerating a high-powered car from a standstill on the final straight of the Fuji International Speedway. In Gran Turismo, the TCS, traction control system, feature is usually operational during gameplay. TCS prevents wheel spin resulting from excessive use of the accelerator. For this lesson, however, this will be turned off, and you will have to control the power of the car using your own skill. The training car is a 98 Dodge Viper, a 450 horsepower monster. Start smoothly and race the 200-meter stretch as fast as you can, as the key to getting a good time in this lesson is starting well. Ideally, you want to start with minimal wheel spin. Watch the on-screen rev counter closely in the beginning and determine the revs at which the tyres squeal when you take off. If the squealing continues as you're pulling away, then the revs are too high. No tyre squeal at all means the revs are too low. Don't forget to keep an eye on things once you're racing. If you press the accelerator too hard with the car in too low a gear, your wheels will spin. If this happens, blip the throttle to regain control. Okay, good luck with the lesson. For a coffee break. Once again, the coffee break takes place in the gymkhana in the driving park, but this time there are 100 cones to hit with your car in the quickest possible time. This time you'll see a track drawn on the surface of the tarmac with white lines showing the route. These lines indicate the most efficient route since the cones follow this line. You're free to go off the course, however, and try your own route. On the hairpin corner, you can hit the cones by using the handbrake if you wish. Enjoy your coffee break. Welcome to lesson 24. In this lesson, you'll be racing on a dirt road again. You'll practice taking a series of hairpin corners on the Gran Canyon at breakneck speed. You need to master controlling the direction of your car to navigate the narrow track. In lesson 17, you learned about high-speed cornering. For this course, you'll be dropping your speed considerably to take the hairpin corners. You'll also use the braking drift technique you've already learned. That is, when you press the brake as you turn into the corner. Be careful, if you drift too aggressively, you'll spin right out of control. But if the action is too weak, the car won't turn as desired. So experiment to determine the right amount of action needed to turn the car. Best of luck in the lesson. Welcome to lesson 25. With the completion of this lesson, you'll graduate to the next level of the Gran Turismo 4 Prologue driving school. For this test, you'll be attempting a high-speed slalom, weaving through cones placed on the straight of the Fuji International Speedway. The object is to traverse this stretch as fast as possible with maximum control over your vehicle. First, weave between the cones at a relaxed pace. The trick is to use minimal steering and practically brush up against the cones. Then it's time to gradually increase your speed as you practice it a few more times. You'll notice that at higher speeds, the car is pulled to the left and right. If you continue to accelerate when this happens, you'll lose control of your car. Get a good rhythm to your steering and control the acceleration in sync with that rhythm. Once you sense you're getting close to the limit, keep the acceleration consistent and you can prevent the car from going out of control. Once you begin to instinctively feel that you're about to lose control of the car and therefore prevent it, you'll be very close to passing the lesson. Good luck. Congratulations! You've completed all the basic lessons in Gran Turismo 4 Prologue. You've become a skilled driver. Now race in the arcade mode to enjoy the tracks to your heart's content.